Imagine you're standing in a pitch black room, right? And someone just hands you a ticking device covered in like a dozen different colored wires.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they just pat you on the back and say, good luck diffusing this, whatever you do, don't mess up. And then they just walk out.
That sounds completely terrifying.
Right, but if you've ever been entirely responsible for a newborn baby, that is pretty much exactly what it feels like. You bring this incredibly fragile, tiny human being home, and suddenly you're just totally surrounded by noise.
It really is a sensory assault for new parents. I mean, the sheer volume of information thrown at you from every possible direction is staggering. And frankly, a lot of it completely contradicts itself.
Yes, exactly. You've got your well-meaning relatives, insisting you use these ancient passed-down traditional remedies.
Oh, sure, everyone has an opinion.
And then you've got the internet just screaming at you about 100 different hidden dangers. Plus, aggressive marketers trying to convince you that if you don't buy their $50 organic scented lotion, you're basically failing as a caregiver.
Yeah, the guilt marketing is real.
And you're just standing there operating on maybe 2 hours of sleep, wondering how much of this is actually safe.
That confusion is so common, and it's heavily preyed upon, because when you're anxious and exhausted, you're very vulnerable to the idea that you need to be doing more. Buying more, applying more, intervening more.
Which brings us perfectly to the focus of today's deep dive. We're looking at a really brilliant set of notes from the Essential Safety and Care Guide for Newborns.
Yes, this is such an important document.
It's written by Dr. Mahesh Yadav, who's a pediatrician writing for BePeace.in. And our mission today is pretty straightforward. We're going to strip away the myths.
Right, getting down to the facts.
We're going to cut through the outdated traditional practices, completely ignore the commercial noise, and uncover the scientifically backed simplicity of keeping a newborn safe. Because it turns out, we are vastly overcomplicating this.
We really are, and what's fascinating here is the core theme that emerges right away from Dr. Yadav's guide. Yes, newborns are extremely delicate, and yes, small mistakes can genuinely harm them. But the overarching medical solution isn't to buy more gadgets or perform these complex daily rituals. The solution is actually stepping back.
Stepping back.
Exactly. As the guide repeats constantly, simple care is the safest care. It's a profound shift in perspective from what society tells us.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the very first area Dr. Yadav tackles is feeding. And there are some massive don'ts here that completely flip our normal adult instincts upside down.
Oh, absolutely. The feeding advice is a reality check.
Let's start with what I'm calling the honey trap. When I think of honey, I think of the ultimate natural healing food. I put it in my tea when I'm sick. But the guide puts an absolute non-negotiable ban on honey for any baby under 1 year old.
A total ban, yes.
Why, though? Is a tiny taste on a pacifier really going to hurt them?
It absolutely can. The ban is rooted entirely in biology. Raw honey, and even processed honey for that matter, can contain certain bacterial spores. Now, for you or me, or even a toddler, our digestive systems are highly acidic and robust enough to just destroy these spores on contact. We never even know they were there.
So our old stomachs basically just melt them.
Exactly. But a baby under 1 year old has an incredibly immature immune system and a very delicate digestive tract. They simply cannot fight off these specific spores.
So if a baby's system can't fight those spores off, what's the actual danger here? Are we talking about a mild tummy ache or something much worse?
Oh, we're talking about a rare but incredibly serious, life-threatening illness called infant botulism.
Botulism, wow.
Yeah, the bacteria essentially set up camp in the baby's intestines and produce a toxin that attacks their nervous system. It can cause muscle weakness, breathing issues, and paralysis.
That is absolutely terrifying.
It is, which is why the medical advice is a strict zero-tolerance policy for the first 12 months. It's not about avoiding a food allergy. It's a fundamental biological vulnerability.
That's wild. So it's not about being a picky eater. It's about life and death.
Yeah.
Now, here's another scenario that I know you, listening right now, have probably wrestled with.
The hydration question, I bet.
Yes. Let's say it's the middle of August. It's a scorching hot 100-degree day. I'm sweating, I'm chugging ice water, and I look over at the baby. My deep-seated human instinct is to think, I'm so thirsty, the baby must be thirsty too. I should give them a few sips of water.
It feels so logical.
Right. But the guide emphatically says no plain water in the first 6 months. Why does my instinct betray me here?
Because your instinct is based on an adult body. Breast milk or properly prepared prescribed formula already contains all the hydration a newborn needs, even on a hot day.
So they don't need supplementary water at all?
Not at all. Giving a baby plain water is actually quite dangerous for a couple of reasons. First, their stomach is incredibly tiny. If you fill it with water, you reduce their intake of milk.
Oh, so they fill up on the water instead of the food.
Exactly. That means they're essentially filling up on 0 calories, which leads to poor weight gain and nutritional deficiencies.
Wait, so the instinct to hydrate them on a hot day is actually starving them of calories?
Yeah, unfortunately. But the mechanical danger goes even deeper than the calories. Giving a newborn plain water can completely throw off their internal chemistry.
How so?
Think of a baby's tiny body like a perfectly balanced saltwater battery. They require a very precise balance of sodium and other electrolytes to function. Their developing kidneys aren't deficient yet. If you flood that delicate system with plain water, you dilute that salt, the sodium.
And diluting that saltwater battery causes a system failure.
It causes a condition called water intoxication, which can lead to seizures or worse. So again, our adult instinct to pour a glass of water is completely wrong for a newborn's physiological state.
Which perfectly sets up the next huge category of feeding myths, which is traditional remedies. I'm talking about things like gripe water and Janum Goody,
Oh boy, yes. These are everywhere.
passed down through generations. You have grandparents swearing by them, saying, oh, the baby's crying, they have gas. Give them the herbal drops. But Dr. Yadav's medical assessment is a hard no.
A very hard no. The medical reality is that these traditional drops do not improve digestion. Actually, they interfere with feeding.
But they're natural, right? People think natural means safe.
We tend to equate words like traditional or herbal with safe and gentle. But for a newborn's pristine, developing gut, these substances are foreign disruptors. They can cause infections, introduce unwanted sugars, or trigger allergic reactions.
That makes a lot of sense. And while we're talking about how we feed, the guide makes a strong point about the manner of feeding, force feeding.
This is a tough one for a lot of parents to break.
Because as adults, we're members of the Clean Plate Club. If a baby isn't finishing their milk, the temptation is to push the bottle back in or jiggle it to make them take just a little more.
Which is incredibly counterproductive. The guide warns that forcing milk causes a very real physical choking risk. It leads to vomiting.
Which just ruins the whole feed anyway.
Right. But psychologically, it creates a feeding aversion. The baby starts to associate the breast or the bottle with stress and physical discomfort. The medical advice is responsive feeding.
Responsive feeding. So you let them take the lead.
You offer, and you let the baby dictate when they're full.
When you really look at this whole first section on diet, it requires a massive ego check for us as adults. Our instinct is to hydrate, to soothe with an herbal remedy, to make sure the bottle is completely drained. But biology is actually demanding that we step back. Nature has already engineered the perfect, complete food system for the first 6 months.
Precisely. Every time we try to help nature with water or honey or gripe water, we're actually throwing a wrench into a highly calibrated, delicate machine.
So we've seen how delicate their digestive plumbing is. But that vulnerability extends entirely to how we handle them physically, too. Which brings us to a rule Dr. Yadav emphasizes heavily. Never shake a baby.
This cannot be overstated.
Now, everyone knows you shouldn't violently shake a child, but the guide makes it clear that even a mild shake to stop crying is dangerous. What's the anatomy behind that? Why is a bouncing motion we might find soothing so risky for them?
We have to understand the bobblehead physics of a newborn's anatomy. Their neck muscles are essentially non-existent in terms of strength, and their brain is very fragile, basically floating inside the skull.
Floating. Okay, that paints a picture.
Yeah, so even what a frustrated adult might consider a mild shake or a vigorous bounce can cause that brain to slam back and forth against the inside of the skull. This leads to shaken baby syndrome.
Which is devastating.
It causes severe brain bleeding, permanent injury, or death. It's incredibly serious.
The guide offers a very pragmatic, actionable piece of advice here, which I really appreciate because it acknowledges the dark reality of parenting. Babies cry. Sometimes they cry for hours, and it physically and mentally breaks you down.
It pushes people to their absolute limits.
So the advice is, if the baby is crying excessively and you feel yourself losing it, pause, place the baby safely down in their cot, and walk away to calm yourself first.
It's giving caregivers medical permission to step away. A baby is infinitely safer crying alone in a safe crib for 5 minutes than being held by an adult who has lost control due to sheer exhaustion and frustration.
Speaking of safe spaces, here's where it gets really interesting. Let's talk about how babies sleep.
The sleep setup is where so many people get it wrong.
Because as adults, our instinct for comfort is a soft mattress, fluffy pillows, maybe a heavy, cozy duvet. We want to build a cloud-like nest. But if you build a cloud for a newborn, the guide says you're actually building a trap.
Yes, pillows and soft bedding are a major hazard. The guide strictly states that pillows increase the risk of suffocation. But beyond just a pillow covering their face, soft sleep surfaces are directly linked to SIA, or sudden infant death syndrome.
Can you break down the mechanics of that? Why is a soft surface linked to SIA?
A newborn doesn't have the motor skills to lift their heavy head and move it if they get stuck. So if a baby rolls slightly into a soft mattress or a plush blanket, it creates a small indentation around their face.
Like a little bowl.
Right. And exhaled air, which is high in carbon dioxide, gets trapped in that little pocket. The baby ends up rebreathing their own carbon dioxide instead of getting fresh oxygen.
And they can't wake themselves up to fix it.
No, their brain isn't mature enough to wake them up when oxygen levels drop, which is a key mechanism behind SIDs.
That is terrifying. So the strict rules for the sleep setup are a firm mattress, a completely flat surface, the baby must be placed on their back, and absolutely no loose bedding or toys anywhere near the sleep area. It looks totally Spartan. It looks completely uncomfortable to an adult eye.
But to a baby, it's the safest possible environment. Which brings us to another area where adult comfort betrays us clothing.
Oh, the classic grandparent instinct.
Yes, they see this tiny baby and assume, oh, they're so small, they must be freezing. So they bundle them up in 3 thick blankets.
Right, the one-layer rule. Dr. Yadav notes that overdressing is a huge issue. A baby only needs 1 layer more than an adult would wear in the exact same environment.
Overheating isn't just a matter of the baby being a little sweaty or cranky. The guide warns that too many clothes turn the baby's clothing into an oven.
An oven, wow.
It causes severe dehydration, fever, and it significantly increases the risk of SIDs. Their internal temperature regulation is still developing, and trapping them in heavy wool or multiple layers completely short-circuits their ability to cool down.
It's all about protecting their delicate systems from sensory and physical overload. And that actually extends to the environment around them, too. The guide warns against loud stimulation and excess handling.
This is a crucial, often overlooked point. A newborn's brain is exquisitely sensitive. Imagine coming from a dark, muffled, warm environment inside the womb, straight into a world of bright hospital lights, loud ringtones, and a constant parade of relatives passing you around like a football.
The guide specifically mentions avoiding too many visitors, which is hard because a birth is a celebration and everyone wants to see the baby.
It's a joyful time for the adults, sure, but for the infant, too much noise, handling, and stimulation cause immense neurological stress. They simply do not have the maturity to process that much sensory input.
So they just melt down.
Exactly. It leads to poor sleep, extreme irritability, and inconsolable crying. They need a calm, quiet environment to slowly adjust to life on the outside.
If those rules challenge our daily instincts, the clash between deep-rooted cultural traditions and modern medicine is even wilder. Let's look at the umbilical cord.
This is a big one.
If I scrape my knee, my instinct is to put ointment or a Band-Aid on it. Naturally, across the world, there are thousands of traditions where people want to put soothing powder, oil, or turmeric on the umbilical cord stump to help it heal.
And medically speaking, you must avoid all of it. The source is unambiguous. Do not apply anything on the umbilical cord. No oil, no powder, no turmeric.
What are you actually supposed to do? Just stare at it?
Basically, yeah. Keep it dry, clean, and completely uncovered. Applying any of those traditional remedies traps moisture and dramatically increases the risk of a dangerous infection.
Because you're sealing in the bacteria.
Right. The body has its own incredible natural healing process. If you literally just leave it alone, it will dry up and fall off naturally in a week or 2.
It's that theme again, step back. Let biology work. But sometimes traditions are so deeply ingrained, they feel mandatory, like the practice of putting kajal or surma in a newborn's eyes.
Yes, very common in many regions.
In many cultures, this is done to ward off the evil eye, or with the belief that it makes the eyes bigger and brighter. But Dr. Yadav issues a severe warning against this.
A very severe warning. Putting kajal in a baby's eyes can cause devastating issues. First, you're introducing outside bacteria directly into the eye, which causes infections and blocked tear ducts.
This from the application itself.
Right. But the most alarming point Dr. Yadav highlights is lead toxicity.
Lead, like heavy metal lead.
Yes. Many of these traditional cosmetic substances contain high levels of lead. And the tissue inside the eyelid isn't like regular skin. It's extremely thin and packed with blood vessels, meaning it absorbs whatever you put on it directly into the bloodstream.
So you're fast-tracking it into their body.
You're essentially delivering a toxic heavy metal right into the baby's system.
That's horrifying. Lead toxicity causes permanent neurological damage. It's just not worth the risk. But okay, let's say you're avoiding the traditional remedies. You think you're safe because you're shopping at a modern, bright, sterile baby store.
Right, the commercial trap.
When you walk into a store, the baby aisle looks like a tactical gear shop for parents. You've got 50 types of specialized lotions, tonics, and gadgets. But looking at this guide, you basically need to throw the whole aisle in the trash.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you start to see a very clear divide between what the baby product industry tells us a baby needs and what medicine tells us a baby needs.
It's night and day.
The guide literally has a section titled Avoid Unnecessary Products. Dr. Yadav lists items that are marketed heavily as essentials but are medically not recommended for routine use.
What's on the hit list?
It's extensive. We already mentioned gripe water and herbal drops, but he also warns against baby tonics or appetite syrups. He warns against using powders on the face or in the body folds.
Because they breathe the powder in.
Exactly. It can cause breathing issues or trap moisture in the skin folds. Scented lotions and strong massage oils are out. Using adult creams for baby rashes is a major mistake because their skin absorbs chemicals too quickly.
It makes sense. Their skin is so thin.
Even things like giving pacifiers in the early weeks are flagged.
Wait, really? Why no pacifiers early on? Everyone uses pacifiers.
Because in those crucial first few weeks, it actively interferes with the establishment of breastfeeding. Sucking on a rubber pacifier uses different mouth muscles than nursing.
Oh, I never thought of that.
It changes the way the baby latches and can confuse their natural feeding rhythms, leading to sore nursing for the mother and a frustrated baby.
But surely, out of all the moisturizers and fancy oils in the world, there must be something we can use if their skin gets a little dry and flaky.
There is one single exception the guide makes. The source notes that natural coconut oil is recommended.
Just plain coconut oil.
That's it. That's the entire extent of the product endorsement.
So what does this all mean? If we're throwing out the powders, the tonics, the scented lotions, the thick blankets, and all the traditional herbs, what's actually left?
What's left is a profound respect for the baby's natural state. The guide synthesizes this beautifully. It explicitly states that a baby's skin, gut, and immune system are immature. Commercial products disturb their natural adaptation.
They get in the way.
Therefore, simple care is safest. They need mother's milk. They need a clean water bath, dry cord care, gentle clothing, warmth and comfort. That's the entire list.
It's brilliantly minimalist. But of course, because life happens and things can and do go wrong, Dr. Yadav's guide doesn't leave us completely unmoored. There are absolute medical non-negotiables. Which brings us to our final area, the red flags.
This part is vital.
Let's start with vaccines and medicine. Let's say I get a headache, I pop a pill. My instinct is, if the baby has a cough, I'll just give them a tiny drop of over-the-counter syrup.
The rule here is absolute: never self-medicate. Never give medicines without a doctor's explicit advice.
Not even the mild stuff.
Not even the mild stuff. That includes common drops, cough syrups, or home medicines. A newborn's liver and kidneys simply cannot process medications the way an older child's can. A standard over-the-counter syrup that's totally safe for a toddler can be highly toxic to a newborn.
And regarding preventative medicine, the guide is very firm.
Correct. Do not delay vaccinations. Delaying vaccines exposes babies to preventable, life-threatening diseases. Timely vaccination is framed as the strongest biological shield you can possibly give a newborn.
So if we can't self-medicate, we need to know exactly when to bypass our instincts and seek professional help. The guide provides a very clear, strict list of red flags.
A roadmap for when to worry.
Exactly. If you see these, you don't wait to see if it gets better. You don't try a home remedy. You go straight to a doctor. What are we looking for?
This list is critical for any caregiver to memorize. Seek medical care immediately if the newborn has a fever.
Fever, check.
If they are refusing feeds, if they are experiencing extreme excessive sleepiness and are hard to wake up,
Right.
If they are vomiting repeatedly, and this means actual forceful vomiting, not just normal mild spit up, if they have fast or difficult breathing, or if they are producing very little or reduced urine.
That reduced urine point ties right back to the hydration we talked about earlier.
Exactly. It's a key sign of severe dehydration. It's a phenomenal list because it removes the guesswork, it provides boundaries, you provide the simple, minimalist care, nature does the rest, and if the baby crosses one of these specific physical lines, you immediately hand it over to modern medicine.
As we wrap up this deep dive, let's go back to the core philosophy that Dr. Yadav ends his guide with. It's a gentle reminder, but it packs a massive punch for anyone feeling overwhelmed by the tactical baby gear aisle.
It really centers you.
He writes, babies do not need rituals, tonics, powders, or traditional substances. They need mother's milk, warmth, cleanliness, a calm environment, safe sleep, love, and protection.
Simple care really is the safest care.
For you listening right now, whether you're prepping to become a parent, whether you're stepping in to help a friend who just brought a fragile new human home, or even if you're just endlessly fascinated by human biology, I think this deep dive proves something beautiful. Nature usually knows best.
It really does.
The human body, even at its absolute smallest and newest, is an incredible self-regulating system. Our well-intended adult interventions, the extra thick blankets, the sweet honey, the fancy scented lotions, they usually do much more harm than good.
It requires a lot of humility on our part to realize that stepping back and doing less is actually doing the most for them.
It really does. Before we go, I want to leave you with one final thought, something that really struck me during our research.
This raises an important question, doesn't it? Throughout this discussion, the source specifically notes that a baby's skin, gut, and immune system are immature, and that commercial products disturb natural adaptation.
Right. We keep talking about them like they're unfinished.
Exactly. But what if we stopped looking at a newborn's biological state as merely immature or vulnerable? What if, instead, we viewed it as a highly active, perfectly calibrated learning phase?
Oh, that's an interesting shift.
If a baby's body is actively using its environment right now to map its immune system and program its digestive tract, then every single sterile lotion, herbal tonic, and unnecessary pacifier we introduce isn't just an unneeded extra, it's actively corrupting the data the infant's body is trying to download from the natural world.
Let that sink in next time you walk down the baby aisle. You're listening to The Deep Dive. Keep questioning your instincts, keep learning, and we'll catch you next time.